Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to Bearbackers. Good to see everybody. We had a heck of a weekend here last week in UCA athletics. We were a perfect 7-0 from Thursday through Sunday. Men's soccer opened with an ASUN win. Women's soccer won twice in conference play. Football won an in-state matchup, and volleyball won 3 times. That's 7-0 for the weekend. Not much at home this week, but here's what we're looking at overall for the week. Tonight, the Nathan Brown Coaches Show, 7 p.m. at Walk-Ons with Justin Akery. Thursday, women's soccer plays at Lipscomb over in Nashville at 6 p.m. Friday, men's and women's cross country runs at the University of Missouri in Columbia. Tennis hosts its second Fall Invitational this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Saturday, men's soccer continues ASUN play at Queens in Charlotte, North Carolina, 5 p.m. our time. Volleyball is at North Florida in Jacksonville for its first road ASUN match. And then the only home event of the weekend is on the Stripes here. We take on our old friends from the Southland days, the Lamar Cardinals, at 6 p.m. Sunday, women's soccer is at Austin Peay at 1 p.m. So one home event, but it's a big one here on the Stripes on Saturday. We'll start today with men's soccer. The Bears improved to 4-3 overall, more importantly 1-0 in the ASUN with a Saturday road victory at Bellarmine in Louisville, Kentucky. It was another nail biter. We scored 5 minutes into the game, and that stood up for the rest of the 85 minutes. Devontae Richards from Bridgetown, Barbados had our only goal. Javier Ramirez had another shutout in goal with 6 saves. He's now had a shutout in all 4 of our wins this season. So Frank, I've kind of figured out this game of soccer. The goal is to not let the other team score. Seems to work. Most times.
It works for most sports.
Most times. Yeah, it's pretty handy. This week the Bears make the long trip to North Carolina to take on Queens on Saturday. And now let's hear from head coach Frank Kohlenstein.
Thanks, Steve. So I want to first apologize to Gene. Gene took me up on the offer to come over for coffee, and I wasn't there when he came. So, Gene, just let me know when you're coming, and I'll be there, especially when my wife Deb is here, because she goes back and forth between Golden, Colorado, and Conway, Arkansas, 2 beautiful spots in the United States. Like this time of year, she would definitely much rather be in Golden, Colorado, because this morning she told me she woke up and went for a walk and it was 57 degrees. So pretty nice to be out in that kind of weather. Rather than yesterday when we got back from Louisville and it was 97 degrees and just a tad humid. So let me know and I'll be there. So a little bit different today. I'd like to give you an idea of what a trip to Bellarmine is like, because you're hearing all this stuff about name, image, and likeness, and all these sort of things. So everybody thinks, oh well, all these athletes, they're just making all sorts of money. Well, this is what our trip was like. So the day before we left, the guys made what we call a survival kit. We have little lunch boxes for each guy, and this is what they would eat for breakfast because we were leaving at 7, and sleep is more important to the athletes than getting up an hour early and eating breakfast at the soccer house. And we do make breakfast there quite often. It's one of the cool things about why Gene came over for coffee. But so then after they did that, the staff got up at 5:45 so that they could be there to leave at 7 a.m. The bus driver was there, excellent bus driver, Chris Stevens. He does a great job of driving us because on these trips, everybody is really important. So we took 20 guys and 5 staff members and the bus driver. So then 4 hours into our trip to Louisville, at the back of the bus, we turned it into a deli where we make sandwiches for everybody. They pre-order with our director of ops, and then we make sandwiches, pass them out on the bus so we don't have to stop. The less you have to stop, the sooner you get there. And then when we arrived at Louisville, we went directly to the field. The guys changed on the bus because there's no locker room there for us on the Friday. We go out and train. And here's something that is really hard for people to realize sometimes, and this happens in hockey and in soccer and in baseball. If you're going to hit a home run, there's different size fields and stuff like that. But can you imagine if you're playing in an American football game, and instead of it being, 53? Instead of it being 53, instead it's 45. So Bellarmine's field is a little bit smaller than ours, and it's on turf. So the guys are warming up, and they're going, during practice, and say, I don't see where there's that much difference, until they play the next night against another team, and it's a big difference because Bellarmine, highly organized team, well-coached team, and they do what they do really, really well. So we were really, really happy to get the win. But we got up at 9:30 that morning. We had lunch at noon, and we have pre-match all at the hotel. But after we have breakfast, we do a thing called the dog walk, which we take all the guys out for a little bit of walk so they're alive, they're awake, they stretch things out, we start getting them thinking about visualizing about what they're going to do during the match. Also, the night before, we had them listen to a podcast from our sports psychologist, and we did something a little bit different in that we split them up into groups, and they had to tell us what the podcast said, and then the coaching staff rated which group did the best at getting the 3 questions answered. Well, after that, it was all tied, so we had to go to trivia to see who got bonus per diem for dessert, on the way back. So that was all on Friday, so they could see. So that worked because the ideas from the sports psychologist got across to them. We come back to the hotel after the match. Of course, I have to tell you, this is another thing we do, whether we're at home or away. We go into the locker room and we sing about winning the match. And our opponents always appreciate that, and we like it at home. It's one of the favorite things that my wife enjoys when she hears us win at home is the singing by the players in the locker room. They even did it on the bus back so she could hear back in Golden. So that was special. And then we get up the next morning at 6:30, have breakfast, and then drive back to beautiful Conway. And on the way we stop, and everybody gets a snack at Flying J's. And if you won the trivia event, then you had a couple extra dollars to spend at the Flying J's. And then we're back in beautiful Conway. We'll get ready for Queens next week. But it kind of gives you an idea that, this idea about them being millionaires and doing all these things, it's really a grind for them when you go on the road, and you have to stay on top of it all the time so that the athletes are ready. So you have to really appreciate that on that night they put in a really, really great effort. And then we see, because of the wearables that they have, how fast they ran, how far they ran, and things like that. And I think one of our midfielders covered 8 miles, and one of our midfielders ran at almost 22 miles per hour at a point during the match. So, they're working pretty hard, and we were ecstatic to come away with a victory there. But I thought that might be interesting to do. But again, if you want to come over to the house to have a cup of coffee, we'd love to have you. You just have to let me know you're coming. Because a walk with my wife to identify birds and trees is actually more important than having coffee with you, I hate to say. So I hope in 2 weeks you'll come out and watch us play against Lipscomb. They are, I'd like to say that they're a rival, but we have to beat them in order for them to be a rival. So we're hoping to do that when they come to visit us here, and we hope that all of you will turn out and all the other teams will turn out, because it's really, really our first real important home match. And the last thing I want to say is that, we know we have a cool environment here. Like after we win a match, I hear from Coach Brown, I hear from Coach Harlan, I hear from Coach Bishop, and that's really special for you as a coach to have your colleagues appreciate what you do. And wow, what a super weekend that, John gets a sweep, Jeremy gets a sweep, and Coach Brown and I, all we do is win one game and one match. But at least, Coach Brown, you don't have to worry about Daryl getting on you for not scoring enough points. I think you more than did that this week. And I think Steve will be much nicer about, getting it done there. So thanks a lot, people. Oh, Gene has a question.
I do have a question.
What kind of coffee would we have made you?
No. At Bellarmine, you're on turf, and the field is striped off for so many different sports. Is it difficult to know exactly where the outside lines are?
Maybe that's what some of our players would say when they weren't getting wide enough and we would get on them. They'd say, well, Frank, look at this line, look at this line. Usually not, though, Gene, but it does make a difference. I mean, it does have an effect on how big you think the field is and where you should go. That's a really good question, because, it's no different than, like if it's lined for football, theirs was lined for lacrosse and for soccer, because they don't have an American football team. Any other questions? Thanks for the question, Gene. Thank you.
You're talking about road trips. How about this one? Jeremy, on his birthday yesterday, goes to West Georgia, gets a win, and then gets an 8-hour bus ride home on his birthday. That's a way to celebrate, isn't it? Speaking of our women's soccer, they opened ASUN play last week, a pair of wins. We beat Queens 3-2 at home on Thursday night. Our game-winning goal from Sophie Backstrom came with 11 seconds left. A little dramatic there. Then yesterday we went to ASUN newcomer West Georgia over in Carrollton, Georgia. We won 1-0. A lone goal coming on a penalty kick with under 6 minutes remaining. So we're winning them. We're just making it interesting till the very end. And again, that was Jeremy's birthday yesterday, so a nice way to celebrate. Happy birthday. 2 pretty dramatic wins put the Bears at 2-0 in league play, which is all that really matters. On the road this week twice, at Lipscomb and at Austin Peay, both decent driving distances. Let's hear from the birthday boy, Jeremy Bishop.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so I know you're probably thinking 30, 40. This was the big 5-0. So, getting up there. Great week for the soccer program. Frank laughed at me saying that, getting up there. I get you. It was a great week for the team, getting started with ASUN play. Each week when we talk, I've been talking about how I felt like we were getting closer and closer to getting some results and playing well in a couple of matches before we started winning, but just, takes a little time to get there sometimes. Made some changes again with personnel and did some changes with our system, and it's really paying off and helping us a lot. Thursday night we came out and we gave up a couple goals early. Wasn't like we weren't ready to play or playing well, just the ball fell to them and they put them in, and so we got ourselves behind. And as a coach, you're always talking about you never quit, and you're always talking about how when you get knocked down you get up and you fight to the end, and you try to instill those things in them from sport that's going to help pay off for them in life. And so it's really cool when that pays off and happens in a match, and you get the opportunity to show that what your character's about. And for our sport, we can't call a timeout and remind them of that. And you have to rely on them to have that character that they've been building through the preseason or the off season. And so it was really cool to see our team. We got down and it had to be disappointing for the group, and it had to be making them question, man, are we good enough to do this? Are we capable of coming back? And 2 goals is a lot in soccer. But we were able to get both goals back before halftime. The second one coming with 50 seconds left in the first half to make it 2-2. And then we came out flying in the second half. The team we were able to remind them of some of those things at halftime. We finally got a chance to talk to them, and they came out flying and creating opportunity after opportunity to get ahead in the game, but it wasn't happening. Couldn't quite get the ball in the net, but had all of it, competed really well. And so as the time's ticking down, thinking, man, I guess we have to settle for a tie tonight. So Steve mentioned that we scored the goal with 11 seconds left, and I think that's it's really crazy to think about 90 minutes, and then you finally score with 11 seconds left to take the lead. But I think the most impressive part about that is our goalkeeper had the ball with 25 seconds left to go in the game. So that's 120 yards away, and she punted it basically the length of the field. One of our freshmen picked it up, squared a pass across to one of our seniors, who then found another one of our freshmen right in front of the goal, put it away with 11 seconds left. Our camera angle that we have for our Speedio that we use, you can see everything out there at any time, and it's really cool when moments like that happen, because you can see, obviously you're seeing the play on the field, but then you can see the bench, and then you can see the fans, and hearing that even Dr. Davis was maybe almost onto the field at that point. Natalie was going nuts. I could see her on the camera. So it was great, and some of you that were there as well, seeing you guys celebrate with the team. That's a lot of fun, and you get to have that moment of where something that you worked hard for, that you're not going to give up, and it be able to. It doesn't always work out that way, but for it to come to pass, that you're able to achieve that. So it was great for the team. Builds confidence. Builds momentum. So Thursday night, play that, do a little recovery Friday, get on the bus Saturday morning at 7 and head all the way down over to Carrollton, Georgia. That's the first time we've ever made that trip. And so that was new, something that whenever you do go to a new opponent, you have no idea what the facilities are going to be like or what the field's going to be like. And they got a nice setup over there. So we were able to get over there by the afternoon on Saturday, do a quick kick around, walk through just to shake the legs out, and then hotel sleep, get up and play, kick off at 1 o'clock. And it was a pretty hot day, and so I felt like we didn't play our best in the first half, maybe from the travel, maybe just from the tough game Thursday, just kind of getting ourselves going again. And I think I mentioned something last time I talked about how Coach Nichols made a great adjustment for us, and he did the same thing again on Sunday. We were playing a certain style. I won't get too far into it. And Derek said, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, that could be a game changer for us here. So we make some adjustments in the second half, and sure enough, we had the ball the entire second half because of that adjustment. Coach Nichols, does everybody know Coach Nichols? He's about the best coach that's ever been around. So you guys, if you don't know Coach Nichols, y'all should get to know him more. Really, really good with tactics and understanding the different changes that need to be made sometimes. And so sometimes you get locked in and you're thinking, we can just keep pounding here, and then you have somebody that's got another voice and says, hey, what about this adjustment? You're like, all right, yeah, let's try it. And it worked out really well. We're able to hang on to the ball almost the entire second half and create a lot of opportunities. Again, wasn't going in, but then they foul us in the box toward the end, and Kelly steps up and puts it away. So great weekend. So 2 in a row for ASUN, 3 in a row. 3 of our last matches we've been able to win. So excited about where we're all right now. Big tests coming up this weekend. Lipscomb is always first, second in the league, and somebody that is picked to do well again this year. I think they were second in the preseason. So looking forward to getting over there, competing against them, and then up to Austin Peay for another one on Sunday. So hopefully we can keep it going in the ASUN, and then we'll be back for 2 weeks in a row, 4 matches after that. So start thinking about getting out in 2 weeks and 3 weeks. So we'll be home for both of those. So any questions I can answer? Yes, sir.
In the first half yesterday, when you had the collision down into their goalie,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly, how, when I saw it, I'm thinking, oh crap, there's a penalty, you know, and they're gonna get a penalty kick, but obviously there wasn't. How does that work?
Are you talking about when Jama ran into their goalkeeper?
Yes.
Yeah, so so to me that play was a 50-50 ball. They both had a right to go for it. And so Jama was challenging for it, their keeper was challenging for it, just like what would happen on the, you know, in the run of play with two field players. And so they collided. I think their keeper maybe got to it just slightly ahead of Jama, so yeah, it's probably a foul. But it's in their goal box, so it's not a penalty kick situation for us there. But yeah, I think that maybe she got to it just before Jama, but they were both challenging for it. For me, the only part that didn't make sense was he gave Jama a yellow card for it, and I didn't think that was. I mean, she was just playing the ball. She didn't go in too aggressively or dangerously, or you know, cleats were down, arms were in, so it was a good challenge, I thought. But she did not get there first, so that's why it was a foul. But not sure why it was a yellow card.
I wasn't complaining, I was just
Yeah.
curious, because I know.
I think that the plays with collisions with goalkeepers are really challenging for referees. They want to protect them because they're obviously vulnerable with their hands up, going for the ball. But that situation, I thought they both did it clean. They were both trying to play the ball, so it was good. Good play. Yes.
What sunscreen do you use?
It's in an orange bottle,
Okay.
and it's like a 50, I think.
Great skin.
Good question. Seems to be working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, because I'm 50, but I look 30? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Oh, got it.
Yeah. You look great.
Coach, how does it feel to win in your 50s?
Well, you know, I wasn't born until 6 p.m., and so I haven't done it yet. So I was putting that off. I wasn't actually 50. And something coaching females is really awesome is they sang to me and decorated my seat on the bus. I'm guessing Coach Brown, Frank, Nick, y'all probably don't get to have something like that happen when you have a birthday during the year. So that was cool. Nice card that they wrote too. So yeah, good group.
To whatever they call them.
All right, go Bears.
I vaguely remember 50, I think. Very vaguely. Our volleyball Sugar Bears got healthy at the right time and turned it on just in time for conference play. They won 3 times last week, as we said. We avenged an earlier loss to Little Rock by sweeping them 3-0 on Thursday down at their place. Lacey Bohan had 14 kills, Mackenzie Vernon 13. That is the one that counts in the I-40 showdown, not the previous one on the road, so that's good. Yeah. Then we came back home, played in our own tournament at the Prince Center. We opened with North Alabama, our first ASUN match. Swept them 3-0. Bohannon and Vernon had 14 kills each. And then we played Jackson State Saturday, got another 3-0 sweep, so a pretty impressive weekend for volleyball. Back on the road on Saturday at North Florida down in Jacksonville before returning home for 2 straight next weekend. Not this weekend, but the next. Let's hear from Coach John Newberry.
Solid week for us. A lot of fun. It was nice to have everybody healthy. That was the difference between previous weeks. Being able to have our starting lineup, just clicking on all cylinders right from the get-go was huge. Lacey Bohannon, very standout this weekend. She got our tournament MVP. And then our libero, Alexis McDaniel, is about 5'2". She'll probably argue with that. She might be 5'3" to her. Anyways, against Euler, she actually tied our 3-set digs record here at UCA. So she's up there in the record books now. Really, really proud of her. Had a phenomenal game. Saw some technique stuff that she'd been using. Well, haven't seen used, and then she was using. Yeah, we knew what Euler was going to do. They didn't do much different. It's just that we had to physically do a couple things a little bit better this second go around, and then plus having a starting lineup and understanding the situation. Only thing I did ask was for Reagan Harp, our freshman. I asked her to please put the purse away so she could hit a little bit harder. And so she finally put the purse away and started using her hand to hit the ball instead of her purse. That was very appreciative on our side of things. So she appreciated the humor in the moment, but kind of got her going. But yeah, so Euler's head coach, Van Compton, she's in her 44th season of coaching volleyball. She's 82 years old. She's old school. She's incredibly talented, still very, very, very quick. Has her mind and everything. I'm sure she's not on top of a box hitting balls at people and everything. But she's very, very quick. Those girls absolutely love her. They have 12 brand new players there from this last season. They had several people get in the portal, and so it's basically almost a new team. And they're very, very talented. And so for us to shift everything around them, it was awesome. The night before that, so Wednesday night last week, I had the whole entire team over to the house. We had a watch party because University of North Alabama, who we played here on Friday, they actually played Bama at Bama. And just a few days prior to that, last week, we played Bama, got swept by Bama. So they swept Alabama. They beat them 3-0. So then they came to our place, and we knew exactly what they were going to do. But having that watch party at my house, I got to cook some food and everything. Just phenomenal team chemistry right now. It was awesome to be able to have them. I had the scouting reports ready for them. They filled in all the gaps, and then by the time we got done with Euler, we moved on to North Alabama. And I got to tell you, that was one of the hottest gyms I've been into in a long time. That place was slammed. The Prince Center was absolutely slammed. And so those of you that were able to make it, thank you so much for coming. But we had a line all the way out to Bruce Street trying to get in, and we love that. And people always ask, why don't you go over to the Fair Center? Well, that's not our gym. That's the basketball gym. We want to be in the volleyball gym. Having these low ceilings and being able to use the walls to our advantage because it's so tight, and having people, you can hear everything going on. It's such a unique atmosphere. There's nothing like it. So as long as we're allowed to, we will always continue to play in that Prince Center. Just a phenomenal environment. But North Alabama came off that big sweep, and we definitely gave it to them. We were excited about that. The head coach got a red card. So in volleyball, you get a yellow card. It's like a slap on the wrist. And then if you do something else, then you get a red card. And a red card in volleyball is another slap on the wrist. But you get a point to the opposing team. And if the team was serving, then the ball goes to the other team to serve. So two little whammies on that one. But if you get a red and a yellow card, which I was really hoping that was going to happen, that guy's got to go. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. When that red card came out of that referee's pocket, the whole entire crowd was going ballistic. Everybody's standing up like, let's go. We live for those things. So I have had a red card before. I thought they were being a little bit sensitive, but I did earn that one. Not really proud of it, but I did earn it. So anyways, but yeah, it was nice to be able to see the crowd pick up the energy as well. We just fed into that. And then moving on into Jackson State. That's an NCAA tournament team. They won the SWAC last year, and they've got all those girls back. That's an incredible team. They were up 24-21 in the first set, about to finish it out, called a timeout, and we made a couple of adjustments, go in there. We ended up beating them, I think 27-25, I believe, was in the final score, either that or 26-28. But what I was most proud about is at the very end of the game, we ended up winning that game 25-4. That we broke them. Physically just broke them, and that was something that was part of our game plan. When you have a team that's high of emotion, they can also be low with emotion. We wanted to feed into the emotion part, and just started clicking on all cylinders. Some people stepped up, and anyway, so beating an NCAA eligible team from last season to this season was great to finish off a 3-0. 3 sweeps this weekend, so I'm really proud of them. But Lacey Bohannon, MVP for the tournament. Very notable, Mackenzie Vernon. I talk about her quite often. She hits like a dude. She hits like a guy. She has a very powerful arm. Logan, one of our strength coaches, just to speak about Mackenzie real quick, we have an exercise that we do called hip thrusters, and they put the bar on their hips with a pad underneath. She maxed out at about 730. Incredibly talented, very quick-witted volleyball player. Has a very high IQ for the game, and when she's able to put all of her skill sets together and her power, it's hard to. She's a force to be reckoned with. So really proud of her. And then of course Reagan Harp had a great game, and Alexis McDaniel. And then last of all, Kaylin Coons, our setter. She had a great weekend as well, averaging over 10 assists per set. I don't know, just having our team, we held our teams to an average of just over 10 points per game. And we were earning 15 points per game all just of our kills alone. That's incredibly high. That is great success, and we're really, really proud of them. So going into North Florida, we're excited to go down to Florida. I just hear there's a hurricane might be moving into the area, so we'll see how that goes. But luckily, it's an indoor sport, so we got that going for us. So anyways, thank you guys so much. I hope to be back next week, and see y'all then.
He was talking about Van Compton at Little Rock. This is how long she's been coaching. She coached at Lyon College when it was still Arkansas College.
Yeah, she was a coach when I played.
Yeah, that's how long I've known her. And it hadn't been Arkansas College in a long time. She is a neat lady though. I didn't have any idea she was 82 years old. I talked to her for.
Tell that out loud, but I did ask her. They announced on the intercom or over the PA. She's like, Coach Compton, 44th season, you know, and she's like, she was so embarrassed. She's like, I can't believe I'm that old. She's just so embarrassed by that, but she's still got it.
She is a really, really neat lady. Football Bears took care of business down in Pine Bluff. Beat Pine Bluff 56-17. Probably could have been a little worse if we'd wanted it to be. We rolled up 566 yards of total offense. 309 rushing for the second week in a row, 309 yards rushing. We had 200-yard rushers, probably not the two you think it would be. One was Shunderick Powell had 148 yards, 2 touchdowns on just 11 carries. That's 13.5 per rush. Our backup redshirt freshman, Landon Chambers from Keller, Texas, saw action in the second half, most of the second half, had 102 yards on 15 carries. His career high coming in was 4 carries for 2 yards. The week before against Austin Peay. Then the other one that you would have thought, Darius Hale, did a little bit of everything. He rushed 9 times for 54 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was our leading receiver with 5 catches for 56 yards and another touchdown. Not often that a player scores 4 touchdowns in a game. In fact, he was the last one to do it. He had 4 rushing TDs against Lamar back in 2021. We'll get to more of that here in a second. Speaking of rare, quarterback Will McIlvain was 15 for 15 passing in the first half. And it wasn't a little dink and dunk, it was 204 yards, 15 for 15. That did break the school record, held by Brian Stallworth, 2001, and some guy named Nathan Brown in 2007. They were 14 of 14. And that wasn't a half, that was just a consecutive streak. I don't know what the half record is, we can't look that up very easily. We continued the run of dominating final 3 quarters. We outscored UAPB 42-7 in the final 3 quarters. 42-14 Austin Peay the week before. 34-10 Lindenwood the week before. We improved to 3-1 overall. 4-0, 3-1, whatever you want to call it. Moved back to number 7 in both FCS polls this morning. This week we do host the top 25 Lamar team. 6 o'clock Saturday on the Stripes. It is Family Day and Band Day, so there'll be a big crowd here. Also having a 40-year reunion for the 1984 and 1985 NAIA National Champions. Jeremy, you think you're old. That was my years back then, so I've got you beat. The last meeting with Lamar that I mentioned, I would get back to, UCA won 49-38 back in 2001 here at Esta Stadium. We had 350 rushing yards that night. Darius Hale had a career high 253 rushing yards in that game. Colin James had 112. Hale's total at the time was the second highest ever. Ironically, the school record also came against Lamar. Blake Beasley had 292 at Lamar in 2015. So we've run the ball pretty well against Lamar in the past. The Cardinals are 3-1 like we are. They lost at FBS Texas State. Then they beat a pair of SWAC teams, Mississippi Valley and Texas Southern. And then they beat a top 20 ranked Weber State team 17-16 at home. They played 3 in a row at home. This will be their first road game in about a month. So we'll see how that goes. Lamar is still in the Southland Conference. and they open league play next week against Stephen F. Austin. We're 9-1 all-time against Lamar. Kickoff 6 p.m. on the Stripes. We hope to see everybody out here. Now let's hear from Coach Nathan Brown.
Thank you, Steve. Again, very proud of our football team. I thought we did what we were supposed to do on Saturday. You know, our goal is to obviously come away from the UAPB game with a win, and that's what we were able to do. I thought we were very efficient, probably our most efficient football game, offense, defense, and special teams to date. But there's plenty to improve on after watching the film last night. Plenty of things that we can get better at. And I said this coming out of the game. We pushed that game out a little bit as far as the scoring goes. It was good to get a lot of players experience on the football field. Steve mentioned Landon Chambers. Austin Myers he was 3 for 3 in the second half. Backup quarterback. Multiple receivers, multiple offensive linemen, defensive linemen, really at all spots. It was good to get those guys some experienced play in a Division I football game. But I do believe what Coach Alonzo Hampton's doing there at UAPB, the fruits of those labors will be rewarded at some point. He's doing it the right way. He's stripping that program down. He's building it back up with in-state high school kids. He's building it back up with Mississippi junior college kids and sprinkling a few transfers in there. I think that program, with the trajectory and the coaching staff they have, has a chance over the next few years to be a competitive Southwestern Athletic Conference team as they continue to push through. But all things considered, great night by Will McElvain, 15 of 15. Obviously, I didn't know that at halftime. Found out after the game. What a great record he has now. That's hard to do because it's not just Will putting the ball where it has to be; it's catching the ball right. And a couple of really good catches in that first half that obviously made that happen. Shunderick Powell was Shunderick Powell. He'd be the first to tell you. His offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers did a great job blocking for him. But Shunderick just makes Shundy plays sometimes too. When you score on the first play of the game on offense, the way he did on, I believe, around a 60-yard run, he's special. He's special. So Shundy did Shundy things. I thought Malachi Henry had a career night at receiver. He had a touchdown, had a couple big catches, some good yards after catch as well. Very proud of that. I thought on defense, after the first two series, we really settled in. Their quarterback was good. That quarterback's going to help them win some games this year. He's a big, strong, physical kid. Climbs the pocket really well. We were able to get him down, I think, 3 sacks on the night. Probably could have had 6 or 7, but because of his athleticism and size, he got out of them. And we've got to improve on getting the guy down. Some stuff that we've got to improve upon. But very proud of our defense. I thought Tamarian Wilson showed up, had his best game of the season to this point. So a couple other guys. I thought our corners held up really well all night with their receiving group. They had a big physical receiving room. So very proud of that. And then on special teams, we were able to manufacture a turnover on a punt. Fortunately for us, we only had to punt twice. One of those being really late in the game, and that was Austin Myers punting it on a quick kick. Very, very good night. I thought we got good field positions throughout the night on special teams. All the things that you're looking to do. Protected the football. We were +2 in the turnover margin. So, all in all, we did what we needed to do. The thing about it is we've got bigger things ahead of us. We've got a big matchup this weekend. You look at Lamar, and because of the history of UCA versus Lamar, it's easy to look at the history and go, well, it's Lamar. Steve just mentioned it over the course of the Southland days, and we're 9-1 against them. And that doesn't mean that those weren't some hard battles and some tough games and all those things, but we've controlled that series pretty well. This is a good Lamar football team. Brand new coaching staff got implemented last year. They went 6-5 last year in the Southland Conference, finished, I believe, tied for second in their conference race in the Southland, and then turned the page to this year, and all they've done is gone 3-1, beat a top 20 team already in Weber State, played within a possession of Texas State, which is playing pretty well. If you watched them a couple Thursday nights ago against Arizona State, that's a pretty good program. and basically be 3-1 and be in the top 20 now. I think they're 19th in the stats poll and 25th in the coaches poll. So, it's a good opportunity for the community of Conway, for the UCA Bear football team to host a top 20 matchup here on the Stripes as your last non-conference game. The goal is obviously to get to 4-0 in FCS Division I football games. That's all that matters. Let's get to 4-0 in Division I FCS football games. Let's get to 3-1 in non-conference play, right, with the Arkansas State loss. So if we can do that, now we shift our focus after this week to nothing but conference for the rest of the year. And so this is a good gauge for us leading into a good stretch of tough conference matchups that we have ahead of us. This will be the first team we played all year that really wants to establish the run. You guys, they want to establish the run. They want to run the football. Got a talented quarterback that can move a little bit, big physical kid. Got an all-conference, all-Southland conference running back from last year. This will be easily the best defense we've faced since Arkansas State as well. They're a ball-controlled defensive football team. If you look at their scores, 17-16 they beat Weber State, 28-14 they beat Mississippi Valley State, 20-17 they beat Texas Southern. Those are low-scoring games. They're controlling the ball. They're playing good defense, doing just enough on offense to give them those opportunities. So we're going to have to play well on offense. Our defense is going to have to keep us in the game. This defense is really good. And so we've got to keep getting better at us. And this is what I'm going to leave you with because I know we're kind of late on time. My message to the team was let's try not to just be in the area. I feel like right now we're just in the area. We're talented enough we can get away with it. But right now, after you split hairs and you watch film and you do all these things, if we want to get to where we want to be, the goals that we have, we can't just be in the area. And I'm talking about some of our great players too. We're just in the area. They're really talented, so they get away with it. So we're splitting hairs down there in the meeting rooms and practice, and we're trying to push this team to be as good as they possibly can because we got a ton of talent, but we have not met that full potential what that talent can be yet. Obviously, still only a quarter of the season done, and a lot ahead of us. But I'm proud of the guys and where we're at to this point. So excited about the opportunity. Please come out and watch. I guess there's not much home events this week, so it looks like we're one of the feature events. Please come out and tailgate. I mean, I think I read it somewhere. Was it 2022, the last top 25 game on the Stripes? I can't remember. What was it? 2021 was the last time we had a top 25 matchup on the Stripes. So that's a big deal. Division. This will probably get garner some attention for game of the week across the nation as far as our level goes. So we need to try to manufacture some sort of home field advantage, and our guys obviously feed off that. So, but proud of the win and proud of the guys, and we're going to try to finish this September up with a bang. Any quick questions? Yes, sir.
Quick Young Brown update.
Win last week. They won 24-6, and then they've got a big one tomorrow against the Saints. They're doing good. I know where it's coming, Frank. Go ahead and ask.
How about your young soccer player? How's she doing?
He asked about Riley. She's doing really well. She is competing every weekend. They get their nose bloodied sometimes because they're playing against older girls. Good competition, but they compete their tails off. She loves it. She's a forward striker. I think that's what you call them. She kind of does it all. But yeah, she's a little athlete too. Sweetheart.
Now, you played 72 players, average is probably what, 50, 52?
Yeah,
That can help down the road, obviously.
Well, I mean, the quality of work you get, Landon Chambers getting real. We're gonna have to rely on him at some point, right? I mean, whether it's injury or just needing him in a game. There's a few guys on the defensive line that got some significant time that we'll have to rely on. Maybe some DBs, but also just the opportunity. Some of those guys are in-state kids, and they get a chance to. I thought the UCA crowd there was as good as UAPB crowd. I mean, the whole visitor side was purple, and that was pretty cool. And there was a lot of families there of our players, especially our in-state guys. And so, anytime you get a chance to play, a lot of bodies, especially getting the opportunity, with the 4-game redshirt rules. We played some true freshmen that may not ever play again this season, but they got an opportunity to play and get some time in. Dr. Bradley.
Yeah, I know it's early, but how's recruiting looking?
Yeah, interesting. We're always wearing two hats. Recruiting doesn't stop, just like these other sports. I'm sure they would tell you that. I mean, it just doesn't stop. So we'll have our second unofficial visit on campus this weekend. What we're having to do because of some adjusted signing period dates, we're actually going to have a few extra official visits in the fall calendar. Used to you'd wait till after the season, you'd hit all your official visits in December. It's tough, whenever you don't have a whole recruiting staff to do all these things. I've got coaches wearing several hats on the weekends, those unofficial dates or when we get to the official days. But it's good, obviously we're recruiting junior colleges hard because they're right in the middle of the thick of their season. The Mississippi Junior College has been so good to us. The transfer portal obviously is not a factor right now. I mean, that's something that you'll turn the page to when the portal window opens. But yeah, I think high school wise, we're sitting at probably at or above average of commitments at this point in the fall. So we feel like we're in a good spot, and that's a tough deal because you're banking that your juniors, sophomores, and freshmen are coming back, but you just don't know, right? I mean, we're going to try to do as good a job as we can as continuing to retain our players. But again, it's a tough situation because they can leave at any point. So, we've got our numbers adjusted for our seniors that are leaving that have no more eligibility left, and then we'll obviously be fluid and adjust on the fly if anybody decides to enter the portal throughout the semester or in December. So, but it's going well. It's going well. Our coaches are working their tails off on it. All right, thank you guys.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Awesome. So a perfect 7-0 last week. All right, coaches. So the expectation's set. Every week moving forward, right? Undefeated. That's what we're going with, right? Now, in all seriousness, congratulations to all of our coaches and teams on a very successful week. Certainly not as busy at home this week, but big game Saturday, 6 p.m., Family Day, Band Day. Spoke with our band director this morning, and we're expecting 450-ish high school student athletes, or high school band students on campus Saturday. So, going to be a big day. Excited about it. If you don't have your tickets yet, get them. Garrett, I looked last night, and ticket sales are looking good for this weekend. So, looking forward to that. But with that, any questions that I can answer? Jack?
Good. I got one.
Hit me with it.
You think the change in athletic director has something to do with the success we've had?
Well, it's funny. Dr. Teague's not here to defend himself, so gotta be fair about that. But I kind of joked with Brad back in the summer, some things that we had done while he was still the athletic director, and I said, Brad, the great thing is, if it doesn't work out, then, I can just say, well, that was your call. But if it does work out, I'll just take the credit for it. But no, we've got great coaches, great student athletes, and great programs, and off to a good start this year. But looking forward to keeping that going, and as we get more and more sports going. So, Jack, that's a good one. We'll have to ask Brad what he thinks. All right, anything else? Let's have a great week. Go Bears. Go Sugar Bears. Bear claws up.